For 2018, I've challenged myself to ride a motorcycle every day and document every day that I do. So far, I haven't missed a day. Hashtag 365 motorcycle. Instead of rambling about nothing, I figured I'd talk about one of my bikes, the 599 Hornet.
And we're back. Yep. Today is the 4th of September. And yeah, I was thinking about starting to try to ride maybe the same bike for a few days and talk about what I like about it. I got that idea from after I made a video, not the greatest viewing quality video, of why I ride the CB600F so much. So I figured I'll start it off with the bike I'm riding today. That's the 599 AKA Hornet in Europe, aka CB600F. And yeah, I tried to record this segment numerous times, and I got a lot of takes of it. So now I'm just riding through the hood, just trying to get a usable clip that I want to get done. So yeah, let's talk about this bike. Let's just introduce it maybe on this video, then tomorrow I'll talk about what I like about it and why I bought it. So yeah, this is Honda's CB600F. Like I said, it is a bike that was in Europe for a long period of time, but it was only in the US from 04 through 06. It is an inline 4 motorcycle. The engine is based off of a CBR, I think a 600, maybe F2, F3, I'm not really sure, but a detuned version. So they were trying to make it more usable for the, for the street. And it's a carbureted bike. I think that's important to know. And like any inline 4, kind of likes to be wound out. The red line on this is 13,000. That's probably the highest red line out of any of the bikes in in our garage. So I guess that's a pretty good introduction there. What else could I say? The only colors I can recall seeing them in is black, which is what I have, and yellow, which is the another color I would have considered getting. And this isn't really meant to be a full review of the bike. I'm just trying to tell you what I like about it and introduce it and talk about some other things. So good thing about that is if I stick with this, I know which bike I'll be riding tomorrow and probably the following day, and that will make it a lot easier for me to plan going to work. So all right, tomorrow I'll talk about why I bought the bike. I guess if I can remember this, I'll talk about why I bought the bike, what I like about the bike, what I don't like about the bike, and spoiler alert, being a Honda guy, there's probably not a lot of that. So all right, well, hopefully you find this useful if you're in the market for a CB600F/599/Hornet. So, and we're back. Yep. Today's the 5th, Wednesday, and I'm riding a 599 CB600F Hornet again today. It's the 5th of September. And yeah, I wanted to pick up where I left off yesterday. So yesterday, probably I'll just add, I forgot to say yesterday, but I think I put in a comment that this bike was made in Italy. Apparently there was a Honda plant in Italy, maybe there still is, but anyway, my understanding, it was made to compete with Ducati's Monster naked bike. But alright, so that's the rest of the facts. So why did I buy this bike? I bought this bike because I have a bike problem. That's pretty much what it comes down to. And I convinced myself that I needed to have all the major engine configurations that Honda makes. So I have I already had a V4 and a parallel twin, and wanted to get an inline 4, and I had a thumper as well, single cylinder. But I wanted to get a inline 4, and Honda's inline 4 pretty much. I was thinking about this before I started recording. I think the only bike I can really think of is the CBR. And I think the CBR is a great bike, but I didn't want a bike with a more aggressive riding position. Sometimes my VFR is even too much for me, and I contemplated putting bar risers on that bike. But so yeah, it didn't leave a ton of options. So and I liked from lurking on Craigslist, I like these Hornets. So that's what I wound up on the hunt for, and that's what I purchased. And the reason I like the Hornet is it has, they're small bars, but they're upright bars, so I can sit pretty much upright on this bike, and it's pretty comfortable. Now, this bike, for the majority, well, it's definitely stock as far as performance upgrades go. There's nothing I did to this bike. I'm the second owner of it. It's like your typical inline 4. It's got a pretty high red line. I'm looking at it now. It's 13,000, so the bike likes to be wound out. As far as other things I can say about the bike, this is a bike I can flat foot, which isn't normal for me for most bikes. In the stock mode I can flat foot it. That's without a aftermarket seat or anything like that. I'm 5'9", 30-inch inseam, and right now I firmly have 2 feet down on the the ground. Bike's a carbureted bike, but I said it's not like we have a few carbureted bikes. It seems to start up super easily. Choke on for just a second, and it's it's good to go. So no issues there whatsoever. I guess another nice thing I like about this bike, it's a naked bike, so it's pretty easy to to work on. No fairings to pull off. It's just pretty much get in there and do what you need to do. I bought this bike from a guy in the Bay Area of San Francisco, and unfortunately with Bay Area bikes there's usually a little bit of corrosion on them. Nothing major on this bike. I got the majority of it off, but just from being in the salt air. All right, I guess for and price wise for these bikes around here, for here they're pretty variable. You could pay probably up to $4,500. Mine's an 06, to 2,200, depending on how many miles the bike has been ridden and how hard it's been used. That's about where I see them in the price range. What else I want to say about this bike? Yeah, like I said, I really enjoy this bike. Probably the biggest problem in my garage, in my opinion, it occupies for me the same niche as the Hawk in a number of ways. It's a sportier, bike. This and the Hawk for me, this more so than the Hawk. I don't have any luggage on it other than a tank bag, and for this bike, the only tank bag I could fit on here is a narrow one due to the bars. I don't know if you can see that, but the bars are real small, and they easily tank bag can interfere with them. Now, I used to have a larger tank bag than this little one I have, but I lost that tank bag probably one of the first trips. Like a schmo, I put it up on a gas pump, and that was it. Forgot to put it back on, got talking to Mr. Smith, and the rest is history. But I bought this tank bag, and it's only a 4-liter, so it's very limited to what I can haul around. And me being a utilitarian biker who doesn't like to wear backpacks, that definitely just right off the bat limits the amount I use this bike for commuting and things. I like to have a side cases or top case, or even a larger tank bag would be nice. But I'd say one thing I don't like about this bike, and it kills me when Honda does this, no hazards on this bike. like safety flashers. Definitely my 250L is the same way, and I don't know, it's frustrating to me. I don't think it's that much of an expense. I think it's nice to have flashers on a bike if you're obviously if you you have to pull over an emergency, or you get stuck in the rain, or I got stuck in the fog a few times over the years. So especially with this bike, I think Honda, I don't agree with this. This bike is probably in the U.S. marketed was marketed as like a entry-level beginner bike, and I don't necessarily agree with that. It's definitely got plenty of get up and go. I think more so than a beginner would need. The advantage is you can flat foot the bike. So a lot of folks, and it's only a 600 in America. A lot of folks think that's a starter's bike, but this is definitely a pretty quick bike relative to bikes in general. Again, in my opinion, it makes over 100 horsepower, and if you grab a handful of throttle, you could get yourself into trouble. So. For me, so I said I don't ride this bike a ton because it's one of my extra bikes in the garage, and there's only so many days to ride. But I do really enjoy riding it, especially like on twisty, curvy roads. It's it's a super fun bike. I think I bought this bike I looked last night, I think like 7,500 miles, and it has 10.5 on it now. I've owned it for 2+ years, so that's not really great as far as how much I'm using the bike. But I guess with having now, my goodness, we have I have 5 bikes. Mrs. Smith has 4, so there's a lot of bikes to get through to ride around. I gotta get out of the way because some cage is gonna run me over. You see there, like this, no problem. Getting up and moving. So, all right, I guess I'll leave it there. That's pretty much the story. Maybe I'll do another vid tomorrow. And I'm back. We're back. Me and the Hornet. So I only had the camera off for a few seconds, but a few more things I was thinking about this bike. I mean, kind of in my opinion, what's a niche of this bike? I think it's kind of like, I think like any bike, you can make any bike do anything, but I think this bike is more like an in-town bike, or a fun bike. That's where it fits for me. Even with this little windscreen that helps, I don't think it'd be a very good long-distance touring bike, but I could be wrong. I'm sure there's people that do it. Actually, I know there's people that do it. I've seen folks that have pretty cool cases on it and a bigger windscreen, mostly in Europe where the bike's more popular. And I see folks, riding that bike all around the countryside on, longer trips and stuff. I've seen the videos. So, and I'm back again. So, one other thing I did want to remark is, as far as engines go, I don't know, an inline 4 engine I don't think has the most character, if that makes sense. And I'd say that's totally true of this engine. For me, I think a V-twin, a V4 is probably an engine that has a lot of grunt and an attitude. This engine, that's probably the downfall of this bike. I mean, it's plenty fast and plenty strong, but the downfall is, for me, it's it's kind of it lacks character. It's a lot different than when I ride even the the Hawk around, or the VFR, which just has a lot more feel to it, if you will. And I don't know, perhaps with some like an aftermarket exhaust, maybe the bike would feel or sound a little bit different and give it a little bit more character. But don't get me wrong, it's definitely better than the NC700X, which is probably about as vanilla of an engine as you get, but that's still the bike I ride around the most. So, all right, I think that's really it now. So I'll close it out one more time, but who knows? There's still a trip home. So with that, peace out. And we're back. Yep. We being me and the 599. I think it's the third day on the 599, aka Hornet. AKA CB600F. It was looked like a big old concourse cowie. But yeah, so today I am going to talk a little bit more about this bike, and it's hard. Remember what I talked about for the last 2 days, so I apologize for any redundancy. But today I was thinking about talking about mods that this bike has, and honestly, it doesn't have too many mods. I'm the second owner, and the first owner really didn't do much to it. His big mods were he put some striping on the bike, and yeah, he did it himself. It looks good from probably 100 feet, but I kind of like it. Thought about redoing it, but it was a lot of time and or money, and I didn't feel like investing either because I like to ride, and that was that. So second thing, he has frame sliders on the bike. Hard to see, I guess, but they're right there if you could see them. And I didn't see the need of taking them off because, God forbid, I dropped the bike. They're there to protect it. Alright, so beyond that, not too many mods for this bike. I think the first thing I did to it was I put on a tank bag ring from GV. So I could put a tank bag on. So I could carry stuff with me to work, to the doctor where I'm coming back from now, etc. So pretty easy install there. Of course, I had a few GV tank bags already, or one had the sister brand Kappa, and it didn't fit this bike due to the super narrow bars.
So here's a pic of my little XS319 tank bag mounted on the bike. And with a little bit of creativity, taking beers out of the 6-pack holder, you can fit a full 6-pack in there.
Bought a bag, lost that bag because I left it at a gas station. If you have one of these tank bags, my advice is put it on your seat or put your gloves in it, and then, if you wear gloves all the time, and then put it on the gas pump, because there is a possibility you could put it on the gas pump like me, start talking to your a fabulous wife, and then drive off without it. So I got this little one afterwards, and probably doing a review of that at some point, but I like this little one better, although it's a lot smaller. I think it's a 4-liter versus like the other one was a 13-liter. Okay. Also, I got this windscreen on front, also GV windscreen, GV product, and yeah, I mostly got that for cosmetic reasons. All these things I got for, well, not all of them. Tank bag was utilitarian, but the windscreen I got for cosmetic. I liked the way it looked, and it was reasonable price. I was like, all right, I'll pop one of those on.
So this is a bad pic of my GV windscreen, but is what it is. Yep.
The thing I didn't realize that actually, even though it's like a little potato chip, it did help out quite a bit with cutting down the wind. Now, granted, I only use this bike for fun and some like in-town light-duty commuting, so I couldn't really comment knowledgeably because I don't remember how it is at super fast speeds. But I do remember when I put it on and run it around for a while, I was like, oh, God. Wasn't like yawn, but it was like, yeah, that's a big improvement. Also put 2 RAM mounts on this bike. I was planning on running the GPS on one and the spot on the other, and then I never got around to hooking up a GPS harness because I was like, do I really need one on this bike? And then the other one was supposed to be for the spot, but I could still use one for my phone or something else, although I've never mounted a phone to my to my bike. And I'm trying to think, the last mod I think I did, two more, I forgot about one. I put a single seat cowl on the rear, and yeah, I like the way my VFR one looked, so I figured why not put one on here.
So here's a pic of the solo seat cowl, and you can see how the seat hangs out through the cutout.
and you had to get them from a store, David something something. It's a 3 name in England, but they also have a sister shop in the U.S., so you don't have to pay like importation fees and taxes and stuff because that's a hassle. So I got the cowl, but I didn't realize it's kind of has a cutaway on it. So by that I mean you could see a portion of the seat on the corners of the cowl. So I don't really love it, but I bought it, and damn it, I'm going to use it. I think the downside of putting that on as well is this isn't my pretty bike, but I'm not really interested in like beating up on it, strapping things to it. So prior to me having that on, I used to be able to strap a little small Wolfman bag to the pillion seat and carry more stuff. And then the final mod, I just remembered, I put foam grips over the rubber grips, just thin ones. And you know, I don't know, as I'm getting older, I like to have seems like bigger grips are easier to hold, and also I also think that they cut down on the vibration a little bit. This bike doesn't vibrate a lot, but it gets buzzy as compared to vibrating a lot. So, and I think that's you know, all the mods. Only other thing I've really done to this bike since I've owned it is you know, change the fluids and put new tires on it. But like I said, I think this is a super fun bike. It's a shame there's not more of them on the used market, because I think folks would enjoy riding them. One of the other things I understand from, you know, I don't read a lot, I kind of skim read internet, and you got to only believe half what you see on the internet. But one of the things I remember about this bike is, for whatever reason, when they made it, you know, with the I guess Japanese yen, sorry, so tired, Japanese yen to you know, US dollar rate, the price was pretty high as compared to some other bikes. So I think that's another reason they didn't sell well. That being combined with, you know, why would the average American get one of these? Because they could buy a CBR, which is faster. Why would they do that? So it's stuck here. So I don't know. I can split that. I will. I just got on. Thanks. Hopefully you got to look at that guy, man. He looked pretty scary. So, all right. Well, I think that's really all I could say about the, like I said, about the, you know, the. Oh my God, this looks like a. This is like a shit show here. I mean, I probably shouldn't do that, but Christ almighty, you gonna block the box like that? Impatient cages, man. Hey, the intersection's already full. Let me just pull my car out. And then they bad enough the woman was there. And then the guy's like, oh, the light's turning. Let me pull into the intersection. So, all right, well, wouldn't be a fun review if I didn't have some other type of shenanigans in there. And excuse me, by review I mean not a review. It's why I bought my bike, or meet my bike, or I don't know. I'll think of some crazy title, then I'll forget it, and it won't really matter. So, alright, probably should have cut this off 5 minutes ago. And with that, peace out.
Well, if that video really didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, I'm curious what people think about it. Let me know in the comments. Thanks. Peace out.